Steve the Amateur Historian. Package delivered from Huntley, Indiana. Cracked it open. Still wrapped. It's still, I mean, the original wrapping's coming off. I don't give a shit because I bought this album to listen to. It's probably one of the most underrated albums from the new wave era, like kind of more the end of the new wave era. But it's the Ultraviolet, Another Victim. As far as I know, the only album this band ever did. And in my opinion, it's freaking amazing. It almost feels criminal. Because based on the quality of the wrapping and the fact that this is really obscure, like they aren't, this isn't Dark Side of the Moon. They're not churning out more and more copies because people are buying it on, endlessly. So this is probably original wrapping from way back. Yeah, it's coming off like it's so frail. The plastic wrap around it. So this is probably, this is definitely probably, at the latest this was an LP put together in like 87. That, I think it came, 86. The album came out in 86. So 86, 87 was probably when this album was wrapped, and it's just now escaping the confines that it's been in for 33, 34 years. Again, and it's so smooth. It's completely just, the case is in amazing condition considering it's as old as it is, and it's had this wrapping just shrinking around it for the last few decades. It's music history. And I was really hoping that so much time didn't go by that the plastic was just going to be like fused on, and I would just have to like slit it on the side or something, because the plastic is like, I don't know if you can really see it, but the plastic is kind of yellowed over time, which I mean, I guess, makes sense. But yeah, oh my god, this is sheen. This is sleek. And look at these slick, what's Ultraviolet, another. I'm wondering, is there now? I was hoping they would have the sheets, because that's the thing about obscure out. Yeah, look at the quality. This has never been open, but look at the paper. I mean, it looks almost like there's mold growing on it, which is, not great. I'm probably gonna. I have some other things like this that I can probably slide this album into. I'm hoping that hasn't like. My hope is the album isn't like deteriorated over time, because it looks pretty decent. There's a little bit of something here that I might want to scrape. Oh yeah, it says it's marked on here. I don't know if it's going to come out, but right here there's a marking that says 1987 on it. So maybe that's a production. This is DKP-12-1987. I don't know record history, so I don't know what that stipulates, but I see 12-1987, and I think December 1987. Yeah, there's some like, it almost looks like spores on here, which are probably the result of being in here for so long, and like there's kind of spore looking things in here, so I should probably get rid of this and do my best to give this a little bit of a cleaning, because I bought this. This is historic. This is a historic item. This is not, I mean, even on eBay, when I went and looked for LPs of this album, I don't even know if this album, it might be available on CD. It's right when CD was starting to blow up, so it probably was available on CD. But, this is one of those obscure albums by a band that never really did anything after this. And, there were so many. And, it's not like music, I mean, my, contemporary music opinion is going to come out, but, there's so much just garbage, no effort music made nowadays. I mean, it's, stuff where people are trying and actually, doing what they want to do and doing their best. But even these obscure bands that only did like one album, and that album is so incredibly hard to find. I looked this up on eBay, and there was only like 3 copies available. anybody who's been on eBay knows that even if you're looking for like slightly obscure music, LP music in this regard, you're gonna find 10, 20 copies from various different sellers, various different prices online. And I dropped, I think it was like $5 for the album and like four. So it was almost $10, but it was a rare moment where I felt fully justified in dropping. Like all these other LPs I bought, I'll buy like a lot of 6 for like $12. So really you're paying a couple bucks per album. But this one I dropped, $9, $10 between the album and the shipping. And it's because I love this album that much. I think this is, in my opinion, if you go just strictly based on the concept of underrated, I mean, in all fairness, I don't even know if this ever really got rated. But there's 9 tracks on it. I don't really love the last one. And track 7 is okay, doesn't really blow me away. But pretty much everything else on this album is really solid, really entertaining. If you love 80s new wave, it really fits into that genre incredibly well. Even though it was 1986 when it was done, and it was kind of, we were getting towards the more later years of new wave, and new wave was almost kind of transitioning into like kind of indie music in some degrees, and AOR was still kind of pushing strong near the end of the 90s, and of course the 90s show up, rap blows up, grunge blows up. And ultimately, new wave kind of faded, aside from like tribute bands or bands that just specifically still like doing that genre, or bands that were new wave bands that have just continued to do what they do because they love it so much. But yeah, track 5, One Time Too Many, is a track that I love. The first 3 tracks are pretty decent. Track 4 is called Never Quite Enough. I really enjoy that one. The lead vocalist, I think it says, I don't really know much about the band, but it says, according to this, Chris Schneider is the lead vocalist. So they had Bob Pucci, I think is his name, who did guitars, vocals. Chris Schneider, lead vocals, bass guitar. Phil Urich, I think, Uhrich, keyboards and synths. So that guy was definitely busy. Angelo Vinceri was the drummer. Yeah, it says the album was produced by Jim Bartz. I don't know who that is, but it looks like he was the engineer too. And the Ultraviolet. So these guys, these guys produced a lot of the album themselves. So they really wanted to make it happen. It's a shame that they didn't, because this album is awesome. Again, probably never got any real attention, but I think this is probably the most underrated album of 80s new wave, because it pretty much never was even given a chance to really be rated and appreciated. It's forgotten new wave, and there's a lot of it out there. And it's all really freaking good, too. Some of it better than... This album's better than anything Duran Duran ever put out. And I like Duran Duran, but I feel like Duran Duran is like people just drool, they froth at the mouth over Duran Duran. And I feel like this album's better than any album they ever put out in the 80s. I could throw other bands in there, just Duran Duran came to me first. It was recorded at Royal Recorders, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I had no idea whether this is an American band or a British band, a German band. They sing, in English, but it says it was produced in Wisconsin, of all places, which is pretty interesting. A few additional musicians, photography, artwork, things like that. But yeah, produced in Wisconsin. The jacket was made in Canada, though, so, some international flavor. Ultraviolet, One Victim. But my favorite track, this was like, I was listening to this track before I even did, like, when I found this stuff, there was a YouTube channel called Sebastian AOR that ultimately got shut down because it was putting up a lot of music, and someone eventually probably got pissed and had it, taken down. So this huge, I can't remember the word, catalog of music was taken down, and it was this guy that had all, and there's another channel that I've subscribed to on YouTube that does these long playlist videos of primarily obscure 80s music, and a lot of it is new wave and synth, things like that. Some like early 80s punk stuff. And they actually have a full copy of this album on their, I can't remember the name of the channel. I have to give them a shout out, maybe in the or in the description of the video. But that channel, Sebastian AOR channel, that's been taken down, had all these obscure albums, and I just kind of went through them because I love, whether a song was successful or not means nothing to me. Whether I like the song or not is what matters. You know, I don't like a song because it's number one. I don't like a song because all my buddies like it. I hate, again, pretty much all contemporary music. So worrying about what everyone my age around me thinks about music is kind of a losing battle for me. I was born in the wrong generation, man. But I remember going through this album, listening to it amidst all these other things, and I didn't really like it that much. The only song I liked was track 8, which is called Carrie. Carrie, in my opinion, in addition to this album being incredibly underrated, I think Carrie is one of, if not the most underrated new wave songs of the 1980s. It has everything in it about 1980s new wave. It has really, one of the things I loved about 80s new wave was the drums. The drums were so crisp. You know, there was no muffleness. It wasn't just like, it was always like, boom, boom, it was very crisp. I love that. It has synth. It has a really great kind of understated guitar solo in the middle. I love the lead singer. The lead singer almost sounds throughout the whole album. This would probably be a turnoff to a lot of people, but the lead singer throughout sounds like he's losing his voice. So there's a lot of like, ah, but for some reason, it works. In a situation where it normally wouldn't work. And I mean, come on, look at the girl on the cover. Makeup on fleek. Who are we kidding? But yeah, Carrie, it's got a great melody. It's got a great fade in. It utilizes all these, just staple instruments of 80s new wave. And it's just a good song in general. And I've listened to it hundreds of times. The first time I heard it was probably in like 2013, 2014. And I'm just now getting the album. Again, Carrie was the only song I liked at first. And then I gave the album another listen. I'm like, okay, the first song's okay. The second song's okay. Well, that song's actually really good. Why did I not like, you listen to something once and you kind of scan through it. Maybe you're not paying good enough attention. And then you come back and all of a sudden I realize, like, 7 out of the 8 songs I really like. And then one I kind of like. And then the last track, Raining, is, I don't know. It's kind of obnoxious to me. It's a bit much. I don't know. It's like the only song I don't really care that much for. But so pretty much as an album, I like 8 of the 9. So, like 88, 89% success rate in terms of the songs that I like. And that's happened a lot. I'll go through and listen to an album, and there's like one song. Oh, perfect example. Cutting Crew's first album. For those who don't know Cutting Crew, I know they had some other marginal hits, so it's not really fair to call them a one-hit wonder, but they're kind of regarded as a one-hit wonder because they're the band that did I Just Died in Your Arms, Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. That song. And I listened to their first album, Broadcast, and that song's the first track on side 2, and I listened to the album all the way through, probably around the same time I was listening to the Ultraviolet for the first time, 2013-ish, 2014. First song of the album is Any Color, which is awesome. And then, of course, I Knew I Just Died in Your Arms, and of the 10 songs on this album, those are the only 2 I liked, so I was like, this is kind of a crap album. I only like 2 out of 10 songs. And I bought this album. I actually bought this for my girlfriend, because she was kind of starting to think, I want to actually get some LPs, and we both loved new wave, so I found this. There was a lot of copies out there. It was real easy to get my hands on. And, we finally got a record player, which, of course, I'm going to listen to this, like, the moment I'm done with this video. I knew when I bought this I was going to want to do a video about it, because this is new wave that nobody really knows about. Even people that were, hitting their peak in the 80s, love the genre. These are the kind of bands that a lot of people don't even know existed. And they were right there with the rest. They just never quite made it. Cutting Crew was definitely a little bit more successful, but only really a little bit. And then I listened to this album because we got the record album, and I was doing work on my computer over here, and I was like, we had like 6, 7 LPs, and I was like, I'm just gonna put them on and play them through. And I'm a Portlander, so I've gotten into kombucha. I've gotten into all these things that Portlanders are supposed to be into that I never really was into. I'm into hummus. I love hummus. I gotta start getting into playing LPs, and it actually is. There's just something about it that's just I don't really know how to describe it, but there's something just great about it. So we only had like 6, 7 LPs, and I was gonna be working here for hours, so I was gonna cycle through every single LP I had, and I put this on, and lo and behold, like not love, but I like every single song on this album. One for the Mockingbird is a classic rock song. I've been in love before. Solid ballad. Fear of Falling, solid. It Shouldn't Take Too Long. Freaking awesome. Sahara, probably my favorite song on the album now. Classic love ballad. And there we go. All of a sudden, I give an album I listened to several years ago that I didn't really like another listen. I like everything on it, and that was this. My only correlation up until a couple months ago with the Ultraviolet was I had Carrie, on any playlist that I had. So I would, listen to that a lot. Again, I've listened to Carrie probably over 1,000 times, and it never has lost its spark. Every time it comes on, I don't skip it. I listen to it from beginning to end, and it still just takes me away. I just love it. It's beautiful. It should be iconic. It isn't, and that's a damn crime. So I just wanted to bring you along for this little trip down LP memory lane, because again, based on the condition of some aspects of this thing, this was an original album record produced in the 80s. This is not a re-release. This is the real deal. So I just thought I'd bring you along for some of my new wave geek fandom, and thank you so much for watching. This has been Steve the Amateur Historian, and I have some work to do on my computer, and even though this album needs to be cleaned a little bit, I'm going to give this its first listen while I do my work. See you later. So first things first, and hopefully this album is in good condition. We're gonna start things off with my favorite track. Carrie, you're almost there. Not too bad. Yeah, no, Carrie fades in.
The Bluetooth device is...
Shut up.